Officially, good morning, everyone. Welcome out to the Market Watch Group Monday Market Kickoff. Whew, it's a red day. At least it is in the morning. It'll be an interesting thing to see how the market responds when it opens and what the momentum looks like. So, my name is Scott. I will be your host. Keep in mind, as always, this is not, this service is for educational, illustrative purposes only. We don't give recommendations to buy or sell. We're not brokers. We're not advisors. We don't give investment recommendations or trading advice. Okay. Today's agenda, opening futures and news. The news is the same news. Right? And if you think back to Friday, things started okay, if you remember. Right? They started out okay. And then, people said, there's a good chance they're maybe not going to do the tariffs. And then the White House came out and said, no, that's not true, that they're happening. And boom, the market responded almost immediately. And if you remember, the VIX escalated. It turned into a hook pattern and turned up, and it gave us a higher low. So what happened Friday? Just as a preface to this. Took profit on Walmart. It got close to its target, and then it kind of just gave a nice red candle. And it's Friday. We had talked about what we were going to do with that, so I closed. Bank of America just never really got going. We had some good strength in financials, and then as these tariffs started to overwhelm things, that's what happened. It overwhelmed things. Closed it. Took a small loss. I don't know what everyone else did. I left of the alerts, the AXP. It's gonna get hurt this morning, right? Like everything is. I'm not going to let it stop me out on the open. If you had a hard stop, right? This is a very, very. We've talked about situations like this, but here's this situation. If you had a bullish trade, and that bullish trade had a stop, and that stop was in jeopardy of being hit today, I'm going to leave this slide up for 1 second, and I'm going to pull up a chart, and let's go to AXP. I believe the stop was somewhere around like this area here, 313 and a half, maybe something like that. I can't remember exactly. Is where I would be thinking about that stop. And now we're at 311 by 312. So we know that the volatility of that there's something there, but we are down in this area, right at this low. And it's just going to gap to that spot. I held this trade here because if, as we've seen in other times, they decide to say, you know what, we made a deal and we're not going to tariff. Well, then the market we'd be jumping. Everything that we had, that we lost because of the news on Friday, which was here, and then we would have gotten some enthusiasm and we'd be sitting right here like, hey, let's go, we're ready for this thing to move. So I didn't want to shut everything. This technically hadn't violated its stop yet, so that's the one I held. That was my logic. I am curious if anyone else, right, if you participated in the various alerts, recent alerts, so the Walmart, the Bank of America, the AXP. What'd you do? Did you close? Did you close earlier? Maybe you closed AXP and didn't take this little knock on the chin that is going to happen here. But at the end of the day, if you had a stop that said, if you have that said, if it's at or below whatever price, right, that's going to trigger now. I don't want that I don't want it to trigger. If it triggers, you're going to have a conditional market order on open, which is basically you wrote a letter that said, "Dear market makers, please take advantage of me as much as you can. You have one opportunity to do so. Sincerely, me." Right? That's what's happening. And we can't, like, honestly, if you pull your stop, and you wait and it opens and stays there, 20 minutes later, your price will be significantly better. It's just going to be Hunger Games on a market. And the first, especially the first 3 to 5, but the first 10 to 15, our opening range on a day like today, watch it. Take one of your charts and change it to a 1 minute chart or a 3 minute chart. Watch it. Hunger Games. It's gonna fly. So I don't want to. I'm gonna let it settle and then work my way out. The hope is we get a recovery and this thing can march back up and the loss is gonna be smaller. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Just being realistic about what this day might bring us. So that's what I'm looking at on the AXP. Then what do we have that's helpful? Well, obviously the hedge. Right? So that was the trade alert. A lot of times people say, is it still valid? There's no way that's going to be valid. It's going to be so far from, it's actually literally hitting a target because this is going to be down here. We said, hey, maybe if it gets down here to 592, we would take a little piece off, take one contract, and the rest of it we're looking for 580. We're at 592 now. Like that's the bid ask. It's going to be there. That one, yeah. I mean, you could look to see if you can get a wild price to fill early in it, right? Just, look at the bid ask as it opens and then put something a little bit outrageous, a little above it, and see if you get caught and take a little profit right off the bat just to help. But two things is going to happen. The market's going to drop pretty good, right? 1.5. And the VIX only have the one. Well, fair enough. You can see that you're going to get a big drop, a big pop on the VIX. About 3 points, which is 20%. 3 points, and on the Vega 30 a contract Vega. I mean that alone pumps $100 a contract. They were only, I can't remember, what did they cost? $250. Just the Vega alone. I mean, these things are going to see a nice little pop. So with only the one, you're definitely going to want to make sure that you work which exit you're looking for. So maybe like if it crosses below the one exit, you see if you can ride it to the next one, and then manage a trail stop so it doesn't come back the other way. Something along those lines. But what did we see? Let's just talk about that. And the VIX it's been interesting, but it's still holding water, right? So we came down here, we got to this low, and then we had Chip Madness Monday where it shot up like this, and then it just immediately rolled over. And we said, oh, look at that. That up down is lower than this up down, which is lower than this up down. So that's a high, and then that's a lower high, and then that's a lower high. We were liking that. And then all of a sudden, we had this doji candle here. And we were like, oh. If this thing were to turn around, that would trigger. And you can see that even on Friday's candle, the low got close at one point when the market looked quite bullish earlier in the day until we got that news out of the White House. And by the end of the day, what did we have? We had this engulfing pattern, and you can see it actually, it didn't completely cross, but it pinched it. But that turned into the next, what? Down up. And that down up is lower or higher than that down up, which means this is a higher low. That was the signal that we kind of got spooked about, showed up late in the day Friday, and that let us build the hedge. There's the open. Now we'll see the reality of the market. Let's pop up over to the SPY. Down there around 592. Give me 1 second here. Four. 433, 420. I'm going to just kind of work one of these out just to see. Okay, now let's see what's happening. So let's see what's happening with AXP. Did I lose my charts? Let me see what's going on here. Well, let's go ahead and bring up. Yeah, that was strange. My charts were not. Detach. Oh, what's going on? IP. Okay, there we go. Now that looks a little better. So you can see a little bit of recovery here, which is why if you have one of those hedges, now if you only have one, you're going to probably hang on to it and just kind of see what happens here. If you have one, but if you have more than one, the first target was 592. It kind of hit that, popped off a little bit now. So you might, if you didn't get a fill, just kind of relax and see. We said we're not quite sure what to expect from this. So, okay. Let's go back to AXP now, though. Sorry, my accounts are just in disarray here. I do want to take a peek at AXP. Now, it did gap down. It opened around that 312 mark. Already moved up a little bit. I mean, it's pulled back now, right? It's in that range where it's moving back and forth. But yes, what would the thought process here be? Wait and see. Maybe you decide, you know what? At this point, I'm gonna stop out if it breaks back below today's low, because at that point the prices will have settled back down, right? Okay, that seems reasonable. And that way, if it does march back up and get into this area, you might say, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna stay one more day and see what happens. It technically never actually violated the low of this, as that established this support level. So if it can get back above 315.25, which is kind of the bottom of the candle, the body of the candle, these are just little tests down in here, but this is really where support is for me. If it gets back up there by the end of the day, let's hang on, right? Okay, so let's go through. Let's see how things look. We know what's going on. Apple, I'm okay with this. Apple's right where I kind of put a mark that said I'd love to catch Apple if it can stabilize at 230 and then turn around. We have something. Amazon looks fine. It's got earnings coming up though, so we have to be careful. APP looks fine. And we have time before earnings. So this one could be establishing something here that we decide to trade. AXP, we know the situation there. BAC, okay, good close. BAC, it had this cup and handle type pattern. It started to turn here. And what happened? Just couldn't get past that resistance level. And then here we're like, done. It rolled over. That was it. Today it's down here. Good close. BX, that's still a maybe. Caterpillar, no. I like Caterpillar. I'll watch Caterpillar. But this is enough now that it needs to do the whole get back in favor dance. Right? It's got to break. It's got to come back. It's got to hold at a higher low. Like that's what needs to happen in order to trade Caterpillar now. So we'll watch it. We'll see if that shows up. CLS, absolutely I would be willing. That's a nice strong move up. Now we're looking at this. This thing comes back down. All the way down to here is fine if it continues. So, yeah, absolutely trade developing. Cisco, if you're in it, it's really not that bad of a hiccup. Like if you took this trade back here, I think you'd still be profitable or close to break even maybe. If you didn't and this thing hiccups, I don't know how much time we have. Maybe, I mean, if it like stalls and then turns, I would take that. That would reinvigorate me for a new trade right there. If you're in it, could you hold until that? Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't violate any, exit rules, then yeah, and then we could, hey, maybe we get a little pre-earnings run. I think Cisco's holding up just fine. Delta took it. Yep, nothing we can do. And it was the same kind of a thing. You can see it never wasn't really testing this yet. It was still like starting to go, it rolled. Would have been fine. There's the Dow down 1.12%. Remember, or if you weren't there, keep in mind, one of the things that we scored down on our posture assessment. Where are you, market posture? Did I close it? I may have closed it. Let me go grab that. Hold on. Was there a notice of the news of the tariffs, or was it? Oh, by the way, Actually, it was what it was, Sam. There was like a rumor that there was like a, they're just a negotiating tactic. Something happened where the White House put out a statement that said that's wrong. These are happening, basically. Like there was like maybe it's not going to, and the White House put out a nope. We're going forward. It was kind of like a confirmation. The date was in place the whole time, and so then it's just been this ramp up of Canada and Mexico saying, well, okay, like you rather didn't do that, but if you do, this is our response, right? It's like, yeah, of course, you can't, even if they're smaller than you, walk up and hit someone, they're going to hit you back. Can't be mad if they hit you back. You just hit them. Like what? So, okay. Speaking with Trudeau at 3 p.m. Eastern. Interesting. Is it a public thing or a closed doors thing? Like, on the phone thing? Are they like in the same place? I guess I just tend to start tuning it all out again now that. Okay. Fastenal, I think actually is still a viable. Look at Fastenal. It's barely down, only 0.5%. The old low, we're still holding up above the old low. I actually think if I saw that, saw this turn. That's definitely a conversation we're going to have. Flex, maybe. Bitcoin's dropping. GE Vernova now. For anything, remember we talked about these guys. I didn't like any of these because of the gap from Chip Madness Monday. Now, any of these that have this type of pattern, as long as they don't come down, this would be a sneaky reversal. Where if it all of a sudden turns, that might be something we look at. If the stock dips below the 50, do I hesitate? Do I prefer it above? I'm going to say it depends. The 50 I keep on here because you can see how nicely it tends to work as an intermediate support level and uptrends. If the market itself, like the SPY, ever breaks the 50 convincingly, I add the 100 and the 200 in order to have those perspectives as well. But I would say maybe not hesitate, but I ask an additional question, right? Is that okay? Because if I'm like, oh yeah, you know what, it just barely got below it, blah blah blah. Like, I mean, I never want to be like dogmatic, where I'm just like, oh, it broke the 50, that's it, we're out of here, boys and ladies. No, it's that's what I would say. It warrants an extra question. Great question. Okay, let's keep going. As it all settles in, we get a sense for it. Gold still looks strong. Google. Oh, Google looks just fine. But it's got earnings, so we've got to be mindful of that. Goldman Sachs looks okay. Right? This is the consolidation we thought maybe was going to come here, and then it just hiccuped a little more. That would be fantastic. I would definitely trade something like that on Goldman. No, what are we on? Yeah, that's Goldman. Howmet looks fine. IBM looks fine. Setting up potentially. Little flag after the earnings pop. IP holding. Ready to see if this little turn comes. And if it does, yeah. Why not? Small caps not doing so hot, down 2%. Oh, I was going to say the Dow. I was looking for my market posture, and then I got completely distracted, and then I started back up. I'm like, wait a second. I was doing something meaningful that I needed to talk about. Market posture log. There it is. Sorry, guys. Let's get this over here. If you missed it, what happened? We dropped a half a point. And ironically, even though we got a head signal, we got a lower high followed by a higher low, and the VIX didn't drop its score at all. Now that it's popped up to that point it's at, I would expect that there's a good chance it loses another quarter point this week. But the other place we lost was here in major market. Sectors still look stacked up fine. We definitely saw some defensiveness with the Dow moving stronger over the last little bit. It was like, oh, there it is. We see that trace, that evidence of institutions just having some subtle alignment indicative of just that extra little bit of defensiveness. Okay. But it's still 4-5. We've still got a little bit of hope that this thing can, right the ship. Let's go through the rest of the watch list. I have a feeling, KKR is going to come back to me, but earnings are coming up here in another day. Oh, MasterCard's holding up pretty well. Meta holding up and possibly, I'm looking for a signal in today's recovery. It's making it hard for that signal to show up, it would appear. Okay, what else? Let's keep going. Morgan Stanley. I think Morgan Stanley also still looks great. Looks fine. If this thing stalls and we adjust quickly to it, then I think we might have something there. Microsoft, no. NDAQ, yes. Netflix, still yes. NVIDIA, no. Close to. All right, nice. PLTR. Yes. Let's keep going. QQQ's down. How much? 1.6. Roblox. I like Roblox. It could be setting up for us. Earnings coming up. I like Reddit. Definitely setting up. Earnings coming up. Not too far away. Rocket Labs. Oof. Not today, but it's still viable. Above the 50. Still a higher low. SoFi, maybe. Still. We're back down near lows here. Yeah, I mean, we're basically at or near that first level where it's like, hey, you know what? If this market all of a sudden got good news, let's say from this whole Trudeau-Trump conversation, and it recovered, we'd want to be mindful of what we could do with that hedge trade. If we take a little bit off, something there. TJX setting up, Toast setting up, Tesla. Ooh, doesn't look good. TSM doesn't look good. Twilio. Oh, definitely. I like Twilio still. Up. That's the bullish dollar index. A little bit of bullishness there. VIX up near 20 today. Actually, we got above 20. Walmart. Look at Walmart just kind of doing its thing. I'm looking for Walmart to pull back. This is like, now that I'm out, I want another trade. Okay. Let's just go back up. What price did you work out of? Anyone who closed? What price? Did you work out of the contracts at? I'm gonna look at something here. Yeah, I bet you could get anywhere around like 425 to 435 ish. A little bit of profit in there. PLTR. Is PLTR today, Press? I thought it has another day or two. You could be right. Let's take a look. Nope, you're 100% right. Aftermarket. All right, well, let's see if the earnings maybe... I've got a zone here that if the earnings put it in this zone, I'd maybe put it like this. And that keeps it above the 50, right? So if it were to like pop into this zone and then sit and then turn from there, I'd be like, oh yeah. Yeah, there's something for us, right? Nice little wine cup and handle. Absolutely. But what's the thought? My thought is keeping an eye on this one. Can it get some recovery? Where am I going to work my way out of this at? Because I am going to work my way out. My thought is, are you going to work your way out of any of the hedge? And then my thought is, let's watch how this dust settles. We know that anytime the volatility shakes like this, it doesn't make sense to make rash decisions. Don't be hasty. As we had only had small signs of recovery, I don't think anyone was really overcommitted. That's a question to ask is, over the last month, even month and a half, really, let's go back all the way to like that December 15th period. Have you at any point overtraded? Right? At any point, have you overtraded? That's always an interesting question where you're like, did I have too much on? If so, when? Et cetera, et cetera. So, all right. Trading plan. Any questions? I believe this will be short-lived. Steven says, not really. I don't believe I've overtraded. Great. I love it. I don't either. Not you. I accept your answer. I don't believe I've overtraded at all. I actually feel like I'm quite comfortable with the number of trades and how I was moving in and out of risk here in January. Miguel says no. Steve says not anymore. I love it. Okay, good answers. Good answers. Trading plan. Trading plan. If you're new, we're on week 3. It goes fast. Just join us. If you think you have time, go back and work on the other 2 to catch up. Start here, even if you just remember we're on a loop. This is an 8-station loop. We loop over and over and over and over and over again. We're looping. So that's the objective. 1 section per week, 1 hour per week. And oh, you see the Walmart chart? Uh-oh. My chart's frozen. Sorry, hold on, guys. Now you should see my trading plan. Sorry, I don't know why I paused. Probably because I paused it, but I don't know remember why I paused it. Okay, so you're working on your trading rules. 1 system. Everyone has to have at least 1 system. I think that a bounce system where you're looking for bounce trades. What does that mean? Bouncing off support. You're looking for uptrending stocks that have pullbacks. And after the pullback at a higher low, they bounce higher. And that's when you're looking to get in. And it's a swing trade system. That's an easy one to develop. You could develop a breakout trade. You could develop a continuation trade. You could develop very specific technical signal trades. Moving average crossovers, Bollinger Band systems. Like there's people develop systems with triggers and right, but all you have to do is understand that I need to have a full set of rules. So, where do I get some bounce trading plan samples? Steve W says. I believe. What do I describe in this sample plan? I don't know. Oh, looky here. System name bounce trades. So there you go. This will give you a start. Go check out the sample. So all right. Well, not too bad. We weathered this storm. It was kind of nasty. We knew it. We knew it was going to be, but I feel like we're in an okay place. So, yeah, maybe we've got Monday Q&A tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. Should be interesting. If you can join me then, it'll be great. I think we'll have some very interesting discussions. Other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. If I don't see you tonight, I will see you tomorrow night at Trading Foundations. Thanks, everybody. I think we're in an okay place. As always, happy trading.
Recording